So everyone watching this video has probably played with a Marvel item in Fortnite before, and while using these items, you might have thought to yourself, I wonder which Marvel item is the best. In this video, I'll be ranking every single Marvel item that's ever been in Fortnite. And before we get into it, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'm trying to get to 6,000 subscribers before April. And also make sure to comment on other video ideas I should do in the future. In 46th place, being the absolute worst Marvel item, is Mysterio's medallion from Chapter 5 Season 4. And this medallion was an actual disadvantage. You will never want to carry this thing around because all it does is turn your character quote unquote invisible. And the reason that that's in quotes is because Fortnite is so scared of making actual invisible items. So people can still see you with it, and also it would mark you on the map, and you couldn't crouch with it because then you couldn't shoot. So this is a disadvantage. You do not want this. In 45th place is the new Stark rifle, and my god, what did they do to my goat? They turned one of the best rifles in the game into one of the worst. Why was this so horrendous? It gives you stormtrooper aim whenever you use it more than the actual stormtrooper rifle. This is horrendous and a waste of an inventory slot. In 44th place is War Machine's auto turn, which is another waste of an inventory slot. Is your aim really that bad? You need to auto turn to hit your enemies for marshmallows? Come on. And no one actually used this after week 1. In 43rd place is the Stark jetpack from Chapter 2 Season 4. And this was just a normal jetpack, which isn't really that good. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this thing had no fuel. You could fly for about 3 seconds and then it would break after 2.5 uses. It was not very good. In 42nd is the Chitauri jetpack from the endgame game mode, and this was an infinite jetpack, which automatically put it above the Stark one. But again, jetpacks aren't that useful. In 41st place is Deadpool's hand cannons, and this was such a disappointment. What was Epic thinking with this? It's just buns compared to everything else in that season. Its only redeemable thing was it gave you Siphon when you hit someone, but it wasn't even that much. In 40th place is the Emma Frost medallion, which is basically that one augment from Chapter 4, which would periodically mark opponents nearby, which is pretty useful as long as you're aware of your surroundings, so you don't get snuck up on. In 39th place is the Storm mythic from Chapter 2, and this is the first of the actual powers on this list because it was just not close to the rest at all. All it would do is just send your opponents flying, and it's pretty useful if you're high up. You could eliminate them with fall damage, but that's very niche and you'd be better off with any other power. In 38th place is the Emma Frost AR, and I didn't really use this that much during Chapter 5, so maybe it was insanely OP or something, but I never used it because I never went to the raft. But from all the times I did use it, it just felt like a normal AR, which isn't anything to write home about. In 37th place is Mysterio's Sovereign shotgun, and this thing was great, an amazing shotgun. It would almost do 200. So this was with an SMG or something, was a crazy combo. But remember, this list is full of crazy powerful mythics, so just because it's low on the list doesn't mean it's bad or anything. In 36th place is Black Panther's kinetic armor, which was an alright mythic. It would block 50% of the damage you took and then to send out a shockwave, which is really good for an up close fight. So this was a shotgun with basically a free win. In 35th place is War Machine's arsenal. Now this is only this high up because of those damn missiles. The regular bullets this thing shot were nothing, they were child's play. But those missiles felt like you're being carpet bombed. It was so stressful, but compared to everything else on this list, it's nothing. In 34th place is the Chitauri energy rifle, which was a pretty strong AR in the endgame mode, which would just shred the heroes in it. But in all honesty, I don't remember how good this thing was because last time I used it was 2019. In 33rd place is the Chitauri energy launcher, which was an explosive version of the rifle. And all the things that I said about the rifle pretty much apply here. In 32nd place, the Doombot medallion, which gave you Siphon on every kill. Now this thing paired with the mythic pistol and gauntlets from killing the Doombot was a crazy combo. I would use that shit every single game. But by itself, it wasn't as OP because all it did was save you from wasting heals or save you from third parties, which isn't that powerful. In 31st place is Gwenpool's dual SMGs, which were pretty good and would shred builds and enemies alike if you hit all your shots. and close up you could kill someone in less than a second. It was insane. In 30th place is the Doom Bot's Monarch pistol, which was a pretty underrated item. Like, if you had decent aim with this, it would obliterate your opponents. Like, it was such a powerhouse this season. I'm pretty sure hitting a headshot would do like 150 damage, and since it was crazy accurate, you could end someone in like less than 2 seconds from a pretty decent range. In 29th place is Thor's Hammer Strike from chapter 2, which would just decimate builds instantly. Like, if someone was hiding in a box, you could obliterate their builds and then hit them for a decent amount of damage, and after that you could just piece them up, since you caught them off guard, and it had infinite uses too. In 28th place is Iron Man's weapon kit from chapter 5, which was pretty good, all things considered. Like, it gave you auto aim and did pretty good damage along with the toned down unibeam. In 27th place is Iron Man's flight kit, which would just send you zooming. Like, this item was fast as hell, and it was just great mobility, and when you dove down, it could damage opponents, which is another good thing about it. In 26th place is Sherry's Claws, and these were great for mobility and combat, and I really liked how it had like a supercharge feature, and when you like turn that on, you would go fast as hell, and that was just like a really cool feature. In 25th place is the new Captain America shield, so like it's not the one from Endgame, but like the one from chapter 5, and this paired with the War Machine hover jets was an insane combo. It would make you like invincible because you couldn't be hit when you're blocking with the shield, and you were like fast, so you could just go behind your enemy, throw it, and get some easy damage. And even by itself, this is just a solid item all around. I have no complaints. In 24th place is War Machine's hover jets, which, as I was just saying, insane, especially in the start of chapter 5 season 4. This thing was a must to win. Like, if you didn't have this, you just couldn't win. It was by far the best jetpack Fortnite has ever added, and like, it was fundamentally different from like the other jetpacks, so that's why it was so good. In 23rd place is Iron Man's repulsors from chapter 2 season 4, so not the one from the endgame mode, and these were pretty good with like better auto aim than the chapter 5 one, and I'm pretty sure better damage. And this came with the unibeam, which back then was devious, and y'all will see the unibeam is higher up in the list. But yeah, these alone are pretty solid. In 22nd place is the Doom's mystical bomb from chapter 2, and this was just a giant ball of death that would do 80 damage on impact and burn everything around it. So, and it had like a pretty decently short cooldown, so this thing was crazy powerful. In 21st place is the Doom Arcane Gauntlets from chapter 2, and these came with the bomb, but the reason these are higher up is because you could just spam the hell out of them and shred people, and they couldn't do a single thing about it. In 20th place are the Magneto Gauntlets from chapter 5 season 3, and these were so good in the season because they countered like the main thing this season, which were cars, with that shield that it could like spawn with the metal. And you could also send like a flying metal orb that could obliterate the cars in like 3 hits, and it did massive damage to enemies, and the shield blocked bullets too. In 19th place are the Doom Gauntlets from chapter 5, and these combine the arcane and mystical bomb together to create this concoction of death and despair where you could just rain hell on people. And I would also use these to launch my teammates off of the floating island, which was pretty fun. In 18th place, the She-Hulk Fist, which did massive damage, and it could piece up your opponents pretty quickly. But it did have a few downsides, because you had to be like up close to use this. So if your enemy wasn't panicking, they could 200 pump you to the head. But your hitbox was a little bit wonky, so it wouldn't happen that much, and also it had pretty good movement with this because of the smash you could do off buildings. In 17th place are the Wolverine Claws from chapter 2. Now these were a weaker version of She-Hulk's Fist, so you may be asking, why are they higher up? Well, firstly, they were faster, which would have your opponent panicking more, and also it healed you over time, which is the real reason it got the edge over She-Hulk. In 16th place is the Venom Smash and Grab from chapter 2 season 4. Now this could yank your opponent out of their box and like give you an easy 200 pump. So it was basically a free kill if you didn't have the aim of Helen Keller. In the 15th place is the Venom Symbiote from chapter 2 season 8. Now this was like the Venom Smash and Grab with a few extra features like glider redeploy, and it gave you it made you faster. In 14th place is the Carnage Symbiote, which was the exact same thing as Venom, but I like Carnage more and the red looks better in game. In 13th place is the Silver Surfer's Board from chapter 2 season 4. And this mobility item was so good. Epic has reskinned it, like 4 times at this point. That's how good it was. Like, you just had to be there to witness like the crazy clips everyone was hitting with the thunder pumps. Like, it was just an all-around great movement item. In 12th place is Groot's Bramble Shield, and this was another fire mobility item. But the reason this has the edge over the Silver Surfboard is because you could move, heal, and be protected all at the same time, which was so efficient, and it was a great item all around. And also all the glitches with this thing were funny as hell. In 11th place is the OG Stark Industry Rifle. And let's just take a moment to think about how bad they fumbled with the new one. Because how do you make an item like turn from one of the best to one of the worst? Like it was the best compared to like literal superpowers. How did they ruin it that bad? But yeah, this thing just shredded people. It would shoot fast when you hit fire and like be accurate as hell when you aimed in. Like it was just an insane combo, and they had to bring it back with like the pulse rifle. That's how good it was. Cracking to the top 10 is Iron Man's repulsors from Endgame. Now this did a crazy amount of damage with the auto aim, and it would just go insane style with the Chitauri. In 9th place is the Unibeam from Chapter 2 Season 4. This thing went cuckoo. Like, you just had to be there. I cannot accurately tell you how goated this was. You just had to witness greatness in person. It went right through builds. It did an insane amount of damage. It was just amazing all around, zero complaints. In 8th place is Captain America's shield from Endgame. And this was crazy too, like the blocking with the energy beams and like launching the shield and having it ricochet. Like, it just made you feel like Steve Rogers. Like, Endgame was actually so peak. They have to bring it back eventually. In 7th place is Hawkeye's bow from Endgame. And this thing was crazy. Like, blowing up the Chitauri and the grapple, which went far as hell for literally no reason. Like, it was so underrated. And it made Hawkeye look cool for once in his life. In 6th place is the Spider-Verse web shooters from Chapter 4. Now, these were good, don't get me wrong, but it just didn't feel the same as like the actual like Spider-Man web shooter from Chapter 3. Like, something fell off. I feel like they changed like some stats or something, because this was not my go. In 5th place is my go, Spider-Man's web shooter from Chapter 3. This was so goated, like you felt like Spider-Man. And on a side note, how the hell did Fortnite get swinging better than the actual Avengers game? Like, genuinely, how did that happen? But as I was saying, these were like perfect, down to the last minute detail. The animations were perfect, the swing felt great to use, everything about it was perfect. In 4th place is Stormbreaker from the endgame mode. And if you're wondering why this is like a decent bit higher than the rest, it's just because I like Stormbreaker more. Like, fight me about it, but like, this is my list. You felt like Thor at the end of Infinity War. Like, you just sliced with the Chitauri like crazy. It was goated. In 3rd place is the Avengers treasure map from the endgame mode, which it was just like a map that you spawned in with, and it could like randomly give you any of the other superpowers, so that's why it's this high. In 2nd place is Doom's armor from Chapter 5. This just felt like Thanos 2.0. Like, it was so fun to use, but sadly, it was so rare for most of the season. Like, you barely saw it. Like, I was lucky enough to use like 2 times. And the 2 times I used it were insane, because you just decimated everybody in the lobby. Like, you blasted them, like, you vaporized them. It was insane. But, like, the spawn chance, like, it brings it down a bit. And also, like, it spawned at, like, the end of the game, so you couldn't really use it that much. But in 1st place, the moment you've all been waiting for, and you all know what it is, the Infinity Gauntlet from Chapter 1. Peak, uncontested, amazing. You felt like Thanos. Like, the entire lobby was after you because it was just that insane. Like, you had so much health. Like, you were like a raid boss in Fortnite. It was insane. Like, you could vaporize people with the power stone. You could punch people with the time stone. Like, imagine that. You're punching someone with time. It's insane. Like, this thing, it felt like a horror movie if you were against it. It was just peak. And you all know that's peak. You can't tell me anything else is above this. And that's the end of the ranking. If you guys liked it, make sure to like and subscribe. And also, I'm hoping to get to 6,000 subscribers by April. So I would really appreciate if you would subscribe. And also, you can comment some other videos ideas I should do. And if you really like this video, you can cash at me, because I don't get paid from these videos or nothing. I'm not monetized in any way, shape, or form. But that's enough out of me. Goodbye.